Hey, it's Dave.
And Dan.
And welcome back to another season of Hooked on Headwaters. It's been a little while. We've been on a kind of hiatus there, but we are back with a new season, 2023, 2024. And we are anxious and excited about what we're going to do. We've got a couple of nice things planned, but Dan's going to speak to that in a little while. I want to thank some of the folks that wrote me some emails asking, hope everyone's wishing us well, hope everyone was fine. And we needed a break, and so we took some time off, do some stuff with family and work and all the other stuff, and life. Life happens.
All the time.
So we're back, and we're just delighted to be in front of you and giving you information about Headwaters Lake, fishing tips, hacks, lake conditions. That's what we're about. Hooked on Headwaters is about enhancing your fishing experience. And we've got Captain Dan, and we've got Captain Jerry, who'll be joining us in a week and a half. He's taking care of a few things, but he'll be back on a regular basis. So we're excited about the new season. And Dan, you've been doing a little fishing out there.
Yeah.
Let us know what's going on.
Been doing a bit. Some of the recent trips I've had, had some pretty decent days. I have found that I haven't been catching a lot of the bigger fish, 4 or 5 plus pounds. I'm getting some. Not as many as like when we're coming into, say, December, January, February, March. It's the average size of fish that we catch goes up a bit. Been catching a lot of small fish, talking to other fishermen. That's been catching a lot of smaller fish, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, up to 3. One of my recent trips, we'll get into that in a little bit. One of the bigger fish we caught, about a 5.5 pounder. First cast in the morning on a Snag Proof Smash Mouth Frog. This one right here. That was a great way to start the day. Yes. That's
pretty cool.
Nice bait. We'll be talking about the new frogging system here from Halo Rods and Snag Proof. Also, I was out yesterday, had a pretty good day. We had decent numbers. Had 3 guys on the boat from the Saltwater Fishing Club. I think they caught somewhere in the neighborhood of about 25, 30 fish.
We've got pictures, right?
We've got pictures
and video.
We'll
be posting that.
So we'll see. It's kind of hard to shuffle bait, net fish, unhook fish, and film all at the same time. But we do have some video. Had a great time with those guys from Saltwater, big fishing club over near Orlando. The guys are regulars with us. They're a lot of fun, and I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the video here. I hope.
It's cool.
So, other than that, I kind of think that the fish, in my opinion, there's a few places on the lake that are producing big numbers and some decent size, but it's well known where it is. And I'm not going to tell all you guys, because then by the time you get here, it's going to be gone, and I'm not going to burn up people's stuff. But there's a couple places on the lake that there's tight groups of fish, and that's what I've been having a hard time finding is where there's larger schools of fish, more concentrated, catch a lot of numbers in one spot. I'm talking mostly about live bait fishing right now. I feel like the fish are kind of spread out, and I feel like really this time of year, I tend to catch pretty good numbers when I'm doing all artificial. Because I'm moving, and then when I catch a couple fish in the same area, then I really focus, concentrate on that area, and if I catch several fish in that area, good. If not, I can move on. That's kind of the difference with me with shiner fishing. It's easier to sit in one place, so you can focus on your fishing if you know you got some fish there. We caught all but 2 fish yesterday out of one spot, and it wasn't the spot I was thinking when I was talking to you, because I couldn't get down there before other guys anyway, so I've just left that alone. But so I've been moving around a lot. The lake is always in a state of change. For instance, a lot of times we get a lot of questions about, well, is the S Canal open? Is it closed? We were out Tuesday
afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon, blocked off, couldn't get out the west cut. Get out the east cut, but not the west. Yesterday, wide open. So it changes. So unless you call one of us directly or email us directly, it's kind of hard to know for sure what it's going to be like tomorrow. Wind directions are changing a lot right now, and things are moving around. I've noticed the lake itself has changed. Like there was an area that had a lot of water hyacinth in it about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and now most of it's gone.
Right. Well, as of Tuesday, we had our first real cold front.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason it's gone is because they sprayed, and I know they sprayed the very far south end of Egan.
Yep. Yep.
All you guys that come down during the spawn and things that fish down in Egan, way south, it's going to look totally different than it did last year. There was a lot of problems down there with floating islands and things like that. Yeah. And then there was another area that's further north that had a tremendous amount of hyacinth in it, and almost all of that's gone, so it's been sprayed. So what I've found on Headwaters is when they spray like that and everything changes, the fish change. That area that hadn't been sprayed and had a lot of vegetation, there was a lot of fish there.
Yep.
Now not so much. That's where it started yesterday, and what I normally do there, I didn't catch near as many fish. So the lake's constantly in a state of change. I know out of the east cut, a lot of those areas that were socked in with hydrilla, a lot of that area now is kind of open. Yeah. Which that's prone to change. The grass is still growing, but not as
water's
fast.
High.
Water's fairly high right now, comparatively speaking.
Yep.
Out of the west cut, there's a lot of floating hyacinth mats out there that's mixed in amongst the hydrilla, but a lot of that hydrilla is topped out, and that would be a great place to punch and flip if you can get your boat to it, because some of those areas the hydrilla is so thick you can get your boat there, it just takes some work. Right. So
now the hydrilla should start, I don't say dying off, but lowering and dying off, because it's not really the weather but the angle of the sun. So we're into late fall, and it should, in theory, start to die off a bit.
Yeah, and just for you guys, so we're in October 2023, mid-October 2023. Yeah. So as the days get shorter, the amount of daylight, obviously the grass doesn't grow as quickly, and the cooler temperatures, I think, slows the growth rate. Yep. In some places in ideal conditions, my understanding is hydrilla can grow up to almost an inch a day. So that makes a big difference. But a lot of the areas, I was excited to see some of the areas I've fished the past couple of years during the spawn look like they're going to set up really well for this season. We'll see. I'll have to wait and see, because it's Florida bass fishing is always changing. Yep. Always changing. So
especially this lake.
Yeah. Bait selection wise, you can still catch some fish on top waters. We've caught a few on the J3 depth charge, which is a bladed jig. Really cool. You guys should check them out. J3 Fishing. You can, for the price of a competitor single bladed jig, you can get a bladed jig and a spinner bait. It's a modular bait. You can get it for the same price as a leading competitor.
Right. I'll put their link below.
Great baits. We've been catching some on the depth charge, and then a few. We didn't have real good success on the frog. We were fishing Tuesday, and I think I had 5 bites on a frog, and they weren't actually eating it. And that's what I found sometimes. We can get into that in a little bit. Sometimes the fish have a funky attitude, and they just don't want to always eat it.
That was the first day of the cool weather.
Yeah, it was right after
that might have impacted things, but that was the first day of our cool temperatures here.
So Florida bass don't like cold fronts at any time.
Certainly, yeah.
And that
and that was extreme. We kind of went from really hot to,
well, I wouldn't call it extreme, because
nice.
We're like, yes, this is
really
awesome.
nice.
But the water temperature had been in the low 80s, mid to low 80s, and then over about a week's time it was then down into the 70s. But bass don't like the Florida fronts. And the drops in the water temperature and the barometric pressure, but that's Florida fishing,
right?
So anyway, we'll talk about these frogs here in a minute. Unless you want to do it now.
No, we can do that right now. The weather is like, this is the time to be in Florida. The weather it's been in the mid 70s. Now is 80 today, but it was a phenomenal week. We are hopefully we stay in that pattern where the lower 80s, 70s, nice time. So everything is looking good.
Yeah. Well, you said this is the time to be in Florida, but wait till next week. Things are prone to change. It might be 90 degrees next week. We'll see.
So if you guys are, by the way, if you guys are planning a trip, now is the time to call Captain Dan and Captain Jerry.
Yep.
So we're about to go. We're here mid-October. We're entering
start planning it out
November.
now.
Now is the time the big boys, big gals start coming out, and time to book your trip as things get, as their calendars get pretty full pretty quickly. So don't forget.
Yeah, I've already got folks. Not a lot yet, but I've already got some people booked in March.
Yeah, I just spoke to Captain Jerry about an hour before I came out here, and he's starting to book up. So he's ready to go out. He's kind of reconfigured his boat. He's ready to rock and roll.
And not only Headwaters though now. I know he's recently been on Kenansville too, and catching some fish on Lake Kenansville with his airboat. So that's old Jerry gets a double dip from Headwaters and everywhere else with his airboat. But the airboat trip is super fun. If you've never been on I'll call it a real airboat.
Yeah.
You know, a tour boat. With 10, 12 people on it, that's really not a true Florida airboat.
Right.
Jerry's got a real airboat, a nice airboat, and you can go places that guys with a regular bass boat cannot get. So it gives you access to fish that I can't catch and the average Joe can't catch, and that's why it does so well on Kenansville.
So make sure you book your trips nice and early. If you want to try something different, want to try a kayak, give me a shot. We can try Headwaters. Now, for you kayakers, I'll call it official Headwater, the Headwaters kayak launch, which is the northwest corner of the lake, continues to be socked in. Now, I've talked to St. John Water Management District. They told me that as soon as the weather pattern changes, so as soon as we get away from that mostly southerly, kind of easterly wind, they will go in there and kind of clear that up. The issue is, if they clear it up, the wind's just going to blow it right back in there. So hopefully, as of last week, it was still bogged in. So you can't launch your kayak with all your gear unless you want to walk way down. As I said, I posted a video during the summer. You've got to walk way down that bank with all your gear, maybe even 100, possibly 150
maybe even further
yards to find a spot that you can launch. So with that said, you can launch from the boat ramp. Hey, the boat ramp, I hear comments, oh, kayakers, nope, a kayaker has a right to use that boat ramp and the right to use that water, so you can launch from there. There are a couple of spots within pedal distance. However, to get to the I'll call it the better fishing waters, it is a hole. I'd say about, you're going 2.5 to 3 miles down, 2.5 to turn west.
Yes, 2 miles to the west turn.
To the west, 3 miles really to get to where the east-west canal and the S canal meet, and that body of water is usually pretty productive for a kayaker. But hopefully I do plan on doing several videos about kayaking that area.
Yeah, we've discussed making a different point, not a point of access, but a way to access a different part of the lake for you kayak guys. We've discussed it, but I think we need to talk to the St. John's people probably before we do that.
We have an idea.
And we're not going to tell you what it is just yet, but it will give you access to more area of the lake. I'm hoping that would be.
And St. John Water Management has been pretty responsive.
Oh, every time I've talked to them, they have been extremely helpful and very nice to deal with and very informative. So if you ever have real questions, you hear scuttlebutt on one of these social media sites about St. John's doing this, St. John's doing that, call and ask the people at St. John's because they'll tell you, they'll shoot you straight. There are some big things that people talked about, and I call them, we have no plans to do that whatsoever. So anyway, enough about that. But the kayak launch, I had a guy email me yesterday asking about some of the kayak launches and things. But it's a bit of a haul, but we're coming in a time of year it could be worth it.
So. We'll touch base about
that. On that. The Stick Marsh Farm 13, the water level's back up. For you guys, if you just don't want to paddle so far, I'm just mainly talking about kayak guys right now. You can put in at Stick Marsh. The water's plenty high. I have not had an opportunity to go over there yet. I have heard of people catching some fish. I haven't seen what the new vegetation that they're planting.
Right. So if you've been out on Stick Marsh, please comment below and let us know what's going on. Are you getting them? Are you not getting them? I did go out. It was during the summer. It was late afternoon. Things were kind of quiet, so I didn't get a chance to hook into anything. But there's enough water there now to launch a boat.
Yeah, regular bass boat.
Regular bass boat. At one point, it would be dangerous. Well, you would have left an axle behind if you were to launch from there. But the water level is high, so it is safe to launch and fish Stick Marsh. So let's move on to frogging. We've got some gear that American Baitworks has provided us, and we actually went and checked them out. But I'll let Captain Dan tell you more about that.
Okay, so guys, this is a new frogging rod from Halo. It's called a BB Frogging 2.0. You can see here it's a 7.2. Some meat stick, fellas. It's like you're fishing in the slop. You want a stout rod for pulling these big fish out of thick grass. We were fishing it with the Snag Proof Smash Mouth. Let me say that again to the truck driver. The Snag Proof Smash Mouth, which I really like this frog. It pops real good. It doesn't tend to sink very much. You know what, when we were fishing it the other day, it was kind of one of the first times I had a real opportunity to really fish a lot. If you just touch it real gently with your rod tip, the bait will sit in place and like walk the dog and hardly move forward at all. And that's pretty doggone tantalizing for the bass. It's got the the Snag Proof Smash Mouth frog. They have big meat hooks on them. I mean, that's what I want. Stout, boy. when I'm fishing a frog, I want meat hooks, because you're throwing a thing in the thickest vegetation you can find, throwing it over things. If you see a hole back inside of a mat and they're really on a good frog bite, you're going to throw this thing over there in that thick stuff. So you want a stout hook, a really stout hook, really heavy line. I'm fishing 50-pound Cortland Silent Flip. Now, Silent Flip by Cortland, which some of you guys may or may not know, they're a fly fishing company, but they produce their own braid. It's all made in the United States. This is a 16 carrier braid, so it's very, very smooth. And the reason I really like this, they designed it for flipping and punching. That way you don't get that sawing sound. It's really smooth. But I really like this because it casts like mono. It's so smooth. You get hardly any sound out of this whatsoever. Very, very strong, really, really good line. So I just chose to use a 50-pound punching line for my frogging, and it works excellent.
If you go back to one of our videos from iCast during the summer, early summer, we talked to the Cortland folks, and you'll see the machine. There's a picture on the video. You'll see the machine that actually ties the strands.
Braids it all together.
It's pretty cool, and they give you some good information also about the different lines.
And we also, with the Halo series, this is part of their frogging, what do they call it? Their, what did you call it in the last video?
We call it frogging system.
Yeah, it's a frogging system. So they've designed the rod specifically for frogging to match with their Snag Proof frogs and their scum frogs. They have American Baitworks is the parent company. They own both brands. Great products. There's another video that we did with JT Kinney on the frogging system. And he talks. I think they have 3 different blanks. I believe is that correct?
That's correct.
And JT really fills us in really well about the design of the rod and the thought process behind it. So I really like it this far. It's a heck of a rod.
So we're going to have some. We're scheduling videos out as we speak now into the new season. We're definitely going to do one on just frogging, featuring this rod and the scum frogs and the smashmouth frogs.
So last week I had Paul was on the boat. I fished with Paul several times. The first cast of the morning on this particular frog, I'd just taken out of the package, tied it on. He made the first cast and caught a 5, I think it was a 5.6, first cast, and it was literally like 10 or 12 feet from the boat.
Wow.
I was looking at behind us, and I hear this explosion, and that was the first fish of the day.
Nice.
You know, so
nice.
that was cool on that frog right there. That's the bluegill color. I don't recall what this color is. They have multiple colors. I like this one too for early morning or low light conditions. Yep. It's black on the bottom with like a olive drab green on the back with black legs.
Yep.
But really like this stuff. It's fun. I like fishing. They pop real well. You know, nice frog. Nice frogging rod.
Yep. So be on the lookout for that video. That'll be we'll probably going to schedule it over the next month. We're trying to schedule shoots or video shoots throughout the next through this season, and trying to bring you videos on a more regular basis. It's just you know, we have full-time jobs, so it's not like this is all we do. I know many folks might be surprised. We do have to pay the bills.
With our high-quality video, you would think we'd be paid big money for this.
Not quite. But anyways, we want to thank Blue Cypress Lakeside Cabins. They are one of the channel supporters. We really appreciate you guys. If you're in this area, it's a great place to stay, right on the shores of Blue Cypress Lakes. Yep. Blue Cypress Lake, you've heard us say this before. It's a more natural lake. I'll say that. Yep. It's not man-made. Cypress trees growing in and out of all over the place. It's really cool place. Yep. The cabin's back onto the lake. It's a huge porch, barbecue you can use. Great place to hang out after a day's fishing. It's about 30 minutes to the.
Yeah, well, you got to go all around Headwaters.
Got to go around 30 minutes to the Headwaters boat ramp. Yep. So cool place to stay if you're coming to this.
And when you're talking about the back porch, you got a cool back porch. It's actually on a canal. You can literally pitch a hot dog into your boat from where you're grilling. You tie your boat right up the back. You can see the lake from the cabin. Yeah. And I think it's the most beautiful lake that I've been on in Florida.
In this area, yep. For sure.
For sure in this county. There's no question about it.
And we want to thank American Baitworks.
Yes.
You've been there for us and provide us some of the tackle that we use and we give away. There'll be some more giveaways.
I was about to say we got some giveaways coming up.
More giveaways coming up. Thanks to American Baitworks, and we also want to thank J3. Oh yeah. Go check them out. It's a vet-owned company. A great brother, and he and his wife do a phenomenal job of putting together these lures that are. It's a unique. It's a unique concept. Great value, as Dan explained. It's a spinnerbait and a
bladed jig.
A bladed jig, all in one. Pretty cool.
Comes in. They've got it in a pack now, so it's got a thumb screw. You take the head of the bait, the lead with the hook and the skirt. Yep. You take that off, and you can change color. You don't have to retie. And then now they've Jason and Jackie started putting it in packages where you buy the two together with the body of the bait and an extra thumb screw, which you don't find that. Most times, a lot of these manufacturers, they don't put anything extra in there. They go cheap. These guys didn't go cheap. They don't.
So we'll be featuring their lures as well in an upcoming video. So anything else, Dan?
No, I think I've about said all I needed to say.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, comment below. We're glad to be back, and we look forward to meeting with you via video on a weekly basis. Captain Dan, Captain Jerry, and myself really appreciate you guys.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you. Be well. Stay safe.
We'll see you guys.